Hello, Cavs Nation, and welcome inside Rocket Mortgage FieldHouse for a special edition of the Wine Gold Scrimmage powered by FirstEnergy. My name is Rafael Hernandez Brito, and I am the Spanish voice of the Cleveland Cavaliers. First time in 18 months that I set foot on the court at Rocket Mortgage FieldHouse, and we cannot wait to have you here, especially when we open the preseason next week, and then obviously our season opener coming up against Charlotte. But I cannot do this alone. I am joined by a man who is starting his third season with the Cavaliers, and I gotta say, Tim Alcorn, neither one of those 3 seasons has been the same for you. Welcome.
I'm hoping that the third season will be the charm as far as getting a normal, regular NBA season in. Of course, year one, we got those 67 games in before COVID struck, and then last year the abbreviated 72-game schedule. So yes, year number 3, 82 games, and hopefully a few more in the month of April and beyond.
The man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Joe Gabriele, known as the Wolf, El Lobo, the guy who you read and who keeps you up to date with everything going on with the Cleveland Cavaliers. He invented the internet. Al Gore stole it from him. But Joe, welcome to the show. I can't believe it. What season is it for you? 40 what?
This is my 19th season coming
Amazing.
out. So this is going to be like no other season. I shook Lamar Stevens' hand, and I feel like a fan. I finally got to touch a player. It's so exciting to be back here and to be back with the guys and people in the stands. So I'm just ready to get it going, you know.
And that's very important what you just said, just being with the fans, which we all went through last season. I know everybody in this country, in this world, went through most difficult things than what we're talking about. But when we say about going back to normal, just being around our fans, to me, is one of the most important things and what I'm looking forward to on this coming season. You mentioned shaking Lamar Stevens' hand. That's probably the first player you see live since March 19th when we played the Bulls, which we're playing on our first preseason game.
Yeah.
But asking you guys, what is the thing that you're most excited about in this upcoming season? On the court, off the court, so many promises, so many things that we were excited about. But Tim, what's your number one thing?
Well, the number one thing that I'm looking forward to, Rafa, is just watching Evan Mobley really develop and become the elite player that everybody thinks he can be. I know on draft lottery night, guys, when the Cavs moved up to that number 3 spot, I almost jumped out of my chair because you knew you were going to get a really good basketball player. And then, of course, on draft night, it ends up being Evan Mobley. And everything you see, everything you read, this kid has star potential just written all over him. He's going to have to learn. He's going to have to grow a little bit, but he could become a real cornerstone piece to this Cavalier franchise.
No, I agree. He's going to be really exciting. I can't wait to watch his development. For me, Rafa, it's a smaller move. Ricky Rubio. I really can't wait to see how he affects our young guards. Last year, I thought there was a big hole with Matthew Dellavedova where he was hurt most of the year, and I thought it hurt Garland's development. I think Ricky Rubio is a starting point guard in this league, and I think he's really going to push Darius Garland and really help his growth this year.
We're only 5 days into training camp, and I want to tell you, besides spending the next hour with the 3 of us here, we're going to get a visit from Koby Altman, our general manager. Everybody has a lot of questions and a lot of thank you to him. Amazing offseason, amazing season that we got coming up thanks to all his work. We're also going to have Dan Geriot, the new head coach of the Cleveland Charge. A lot of news coming around, and a lot of news that benefits the Cleveland Cavaliers as well by having the G League franchise here. And also we're going to have another surprises here for you. But Tim, you mentioned Evan Mobley, you mentioned you guys, but somebody that is in the same boat as you are when we talked about 3 seasons not being the normal seasons. Isaac Okoro was drafted by the Cavs in the lottery 2 years ago, and then no preseason. Well, he had a preseason, but no training camp, no summer league, little time to get going, being drafted and coming into the league. What do you expect from him, or what have you seen? We haven't seen much of him yet, but what do you expect from him?
Well, Rafa and Joe, in the second half of the season, Isaac Okoro's game really developed. You could see that maturity that I talked about with Evan Mobley. Got some time at the 2-guard spot and really became aggressive on the offensive end. Of course, the word was, and it turned out to be true, that when he was coming into the league, he was defensively ready to play at the NBA level. And boy, JB didn't hesitate putting him out there against the other team's best offensive player every single night. He was guarding the elite of the NBA, pretty much held his own for a 19-year-old young man. So, as I mentioned, the development that we're going to see from Mobley as the season goes along, I think that's exponential now for Isaac Okoro when you go from year 1 to year 2. We saw that last year with Darius Garland.
Yeah.
And just the huge step forward that he took. So I'm excited about Isaac Okoro. I think the Cavs kind of stole him at that number 5 spot, and I think he has such a bright future.
You mentioned Ricky Rubio, Joe. Somebody that will benefit directly, immediately from him being here is Darius Garland. Tim just mentioned his growth last year. His leadership grew. He grew into, remember, we're talking about guys that are younger than 25 years old.
Right.
Darius Garland went from playing 5 college basketball games to becoming a starter in the NBA. And the same thing with Okoro. But when you talk about Ricky Rubio, when you hear about what Devin Booker, what Donovan Mitchell have to say about how much they benefited from having Ricky Rubio next to them, what do you expect from Darius Garland this season?
Well, again, I thought not having Delly last year really kind of hurt him. And especially, I think with Ricky Rubio, he's seen end-of-game situations, winning and losing. Darius Garland, he's learning all those situations right now. I just think that Ricky Rubio can, push him, and Kevin Pangos as well. I think push him in practice, show him the ins and outs, and again, the kid hasn't really had end-of-games, winning and losing situations that he's had to go on through. And I think that's an area where it'll really help him.
You know, Rafa, earlier, I hope I didn't interrupt you there, but earlier you were talking about things that we're looking forward to. And to follow up and to piggyback on what Joe was just saying there, I'm looking forward to seeing how this team improves in closeout games and closeout situations. They're a young basketball team, and we saw that last year. They'd be in those tight games midway through the fourth quarter, and then things would kind of go awry.
Exactly.
And that's learning how to win at the NBA level.
Exactly.
So that's a thing to keep an eye on. Tight games, fourth quarter. Does the team take the next step in closing out those games?
And it's a learning process.
Yes,
you know,
absolutely.
I've been part throughout my career, lucky to be part of rebuilding and growing process. I was part of the Nets before they made it to 2 straight finals. I was with the Jets in New York when they went 1-15 and they went to 2 conference championships. And you learn that the winning doesn't always show in the winning column. We're talking about growth, we're talking about development, we're talking about learning how to close games. But out of all that, Joe, what do you think is the most important pieces that we have here to make sure that we get to that point? I mean, Colin Sexton wakes up every day and puts up 24 points. Not many people can do that in the world. Forget about in the NBA. But, he's got to be a pivotal piece for the Cavaliers this upcoming season.
Well, again, I think right now, and you heard it, you heard Koby mention it, he'll mention it again when we talk to him. We've had great individual performances. Darius had a great individual season last year. Colin, same thing. It's a matter now of taking these individual, and Ricky Rubio talked about it at Media Day as well, taking these individual performers and performances and again, mentioning what we said, learning how to win, doing it enough where you see this is how we win this type of game, this is how we win this type of game, this is how we close out. So right now it's a matter of taking the talent, all the players, and putting it together and teaching these guys how to win.
I told you we're less than a week into training camp, just so you guys get ready. First of all, thank you for joining us here. We are inside Rocket Mortgage FieldHouse for the Wine Gold Scrimmage, powered by FirstEnergy. Next week, we hit the road for the first time. Hurrah to that. We get off the season and play back-to-back games right off the bat on the road in Chicago, and then we travel to Atlanta.
Yeah.
Opening night preseason here against Indiana on the 8th. What are you realizing already that we are really going back to normal?
Well, for me, Rafa, I was thinking about this. There's an incredible irony that the last time we were on the road
in Chicago
was in Chicago in that surreal environment. That was actually the night before Adam Silver shut things down. We played in Chicago on Tuesday, and then it was Wednesday night, the Rudy Gobert situation and so forth. So how ironic is it that the last time we were on the road is now when we go back the first time on the road, we'll be at the exact same arena.
As our players warm up in the back, I'll add a little bit to that. How about the fact that the first home game is against Charlotte, which is the game that we were supposed to play when the season never continued.
Wow.
So as you see this behind us, Joe G, one thing we haven't talked about is the throw. I mean, we talk about what the job that Koby Altman did in the whole season.
Yeah.
Just securing our future in the middle with Jared Allen for the next 5 years has to be something that every Cavs fan has to be excited about.
You got to love stability in the middle, and we haven't had that. Again, Tristan started in the middle. I think we had 6 different starting centers since 2014, I think. Or so. Either way, it's going to be nice to have stability in the middle, to have a starting center that this guy's your guy for the next, great for the immediate future. And a great kid and a great player and just a great Cavalier. He feels like he's been a Cavalier his whole time.
And we talk about maturity and development. He hasn't even come close to reaching his ceiling as far as how good he can be. Jared Allen, of course, while he was with the Nets, kind of that role player. But I think coming to Cleveland, it's a guy that Koby and the staff have liked for a long time. And I think you're going to see his game really grow.
And I also think it's nice to have a starting center where you don't have to put so much pressure on Evan Mobley right now.
Right.
Again, he's a 7-footer, but you don't want him brawling against some of the big centers in this league right now. It's going to take him a couple years to add some weight and get his game.
Speaking of starting, if you go Darius Garland, Colin Sexton, Mobley, Okoro, and Allen, I leave it up to you, Joe. You're the stats guy. You as well, Tim. Like, is there any other team in the NBA that have 5 guys that were drafted in the first round, 4 of them in the lottery, starting for them?
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, it has to be something that fans have to be excited about, because these are guys that, I mean, Jared Allen. We talk about our 4 guys that we have picked in the lottery the last years. Yeah, I mean, Jared Allen was the future of the Nets. They had to move him because they have to acquire James Harden, but it has to be exciting for the fans to realize that we have guys that promise to be here for a long time.
Well, I would simply say the pieces are in place.
That's it.
When you look at those lottery picks, to me, the Cavs have hit on those lottery picks, especially where they were picking earlier until we were able to finally get up to a high spot this year with that number 3 pick. So I think that the team has been assembled in the proper way.
Yeah.
It's not yet a completed project, but the young pieces are there. And now you watch them grow and develop. You add a veteran like Rubio, and I'm sure down the line, as Koby will join us a little bit later, they'll look for other ways to add a piece here or there. But, that core 4 that they talked about last year with Garland, Sexton, Okoro, and Allen. Now you add Mobley. You add a veteran like Rubio. You can see this team really taking shape.
And when it comes to teams coming together, everybody has something to work on, or not something to prove, but something to deal with. And then when you put in our veterans, Kevin Love and Jerry Osman, I mean, you do expect big things from them, whether it's on or off the court, Joe.
Well, you're right, and both those guys are important veterans, but I want to kind of touch on a couple other veterans. You talked about veterans with something to prove. And how about the 2 guys from Chicago, Lauri Markkanen, I'm going to get it right, Lauri Markkanen and Denzel Valentine. And that both those guys come here with, you always say a chip on their shoulder. But these guys have something to prove. They're both, I think, 4-year guys, and they want to come in and say, hey, look, Chicago might have gave up on us a little too early. Let's really show them, they're in the division. So I'm looking forward to see what those guys bring to the table.
I love the acquisition of Lauri Markkanen. And again, Larry Nance Jr. and his dad, Larry Nance Sr., will forever be a part of the fabric of Cleveland Cavaliers basketball. You don't find better people than the Nance.
That 22 is not coming down from the Raptors.
Exactly. And Larry Nance Jr., everything he did for the community and on the floor as well. But that being said, when I step back and just look at it from a sheer basketball perspective, Lauri Markkanen, 5 years younger, he can hit outside shots. And I love the fact that the first day he walked into the gym, JB said to him, I have one rule, shoot the ball. Shoot the ball. Because we know the Cavs have struggled from beyond the arc. The stats don't lie. So Lauri Markkanen's going to be a huge addition.
I spoke to him on media day. He said, listen, I'll shoot it. There's nothing I can do about the ball going in. But
when I first heard that we were getting Lauri Markkanen, the first thing I thought was, God, that guy used to kick our butts, man. He did. He would come to Cleveland and really give it to us.
People don't realize he's a 7-footer.
Right, yeah.
Right? And he can shoot the ball. He's that new generation of 7-footers. But you mentioned two guys that I believe will have the opportunity here to be in a right situation when you talk about Valentine and you talk about Lauri Markkanen. Who else do you think is in a position, Joe G, to step up this season and you know, we talk about the young guys that grow but to take advantage, Denzel Valentine was one of the most exciting prep school ball players in the country. But he came into a situation in Chicago when they had Wade, Butler was on his way out, and he wasn't really given the opportunity to show, right? And then, of course, injuries, which are part of the business, took place. But who else do you think has a situation here that has to take advantage of that possibility?
I think it's a couple guys that took advantage of the opportunity last year, and I want to see what they build on it for this year. And a guy we talked to before the game, Lamar Stevens, and Dean Wade. In guys that, really got an opportunity because of all the injuries and all the lineup changes last year. And I thought both those guys took excellent advantage of the time that they got. Okay, you had a good season last year and an injury-plagued season where the team didn't win a lot. What do you have next? What do you have next year for us this year? Now that you've proven you can play in the league, what's your next step? So I'm curious to see what they do.
A guy that I'll mention, guys, is someone that really hasn't had his opportunity yet, and that's Dylan Windler. Number 1 draft choice a couple of years ago. Boy, when he has played, another outside shooter that could definitely help this basketball team, and it's just been unfortunate that he's been injured his first 2 seasons. So, boy, will year 3, like for me, be the lucky charm year where he gets that full season in, where he can really demonstrate what he can do. We saw him just go on fire from beyond the arc over a couple of games last year where he couldn't miss. So, boy, you really hope that Dylan, who's put in so much work, and he's just as frustrated as anybody else that he hasn't had the opportunity to display that talent, that he gets that chance this year, because there's a reason he went in the first round. He can shoot it. So let's see if Dylan finally in year 3 gets that opportunity to really showcase his talent.
We are live courtside from Rocket Mortgage FieldHouse. Rafael Hernandez Brito, Tim Alcorn, and Joe Gabriele, Joe G. And we can talk here all day about how excited we are about every single piece from 1 to 17. We got some battles going for those two-way contracts and everything else. But the coaching staff also has gone through some changes. The coaching staff also has that job to keep everybody together, and I think J.B. Bickerstaff has done an amazing job. What do you like? What are you expecting from this group? With Sidney Lowe coming in, with Coach Buckner, who's going to join us later, and losing Dan Geriot.
Well, first of all, I think JB is the perfect coach for this team at this time. He's a player's coach. He understands that these guys need to be nurtured and developed with a stern hand. He kind of does it both ways, and I think JB is just fantastic. And I think the addition of Sidney Lowe is just tremendous. He's a guy with a lot of NBA experience, both as an assistant coach and as a head coach.
And Cleveland experience.
And Cleveland, yes. Welcome back to Cleveland, Sidney Lowe. So I think that's a tremendous addition to the staff. And for Dan Geriot, I got to know Dan pretty well in year 1. Of course, we didn't have a lot of interaction with the coaches last year, but in my first year with the Cavs, I got to spend a lot of time with Dan, and I'm really excited for him that he gets his shot at being a head coach. JB talked about that the other day, just in his development as a coach, to kind of lead a team and lead a program. I think that's great for Dan Geriot. And by the way, best of luck to Lindsey Gottlieb with the USC Lady Trojans this year. We'll miss her, but boy, what an opportunity for her.
For sure, good luck to her. But Joe, I asked JB in one of the pressers about what the preseason means or is for the coaching staff as well, because they also got to get together and learn each other.
Exactly. I mean, again, you're fitting a lot of new guys and moving a lot of pieces.
New personalities, new styles,
new personalities.
conversation.
Certain guys work with certain rookies, certain guys work with certain big guys. So, and again, Dan Geriot worked with big guys, so you're going to have to retool that position. But just like the team, the coaching staff's going to have to figure out their rhythm in the first half of this season and throughout the preseason.
One of the things that all the coaches, the assistant coaches, have talked about, guys, is the fact that JB really lets them do their job. Like you said, Dan with the big guys and whatever other responsibilities each coach has. He really lets them hone in on what their responsibilities are.
It'll be fun to see what we get coming here in this upcoming season. We're going to be waiting for the okay for me. I don't want to jump the gun and introduce our next guest because there's so many questions for him. But again, get in line because General Manager of the Cleveland Cavaliers, Koby Altman, is going to be joining us. You tell me, is he okay to go now? Yes. Welcome to the show.
How you doing, Rafa?
Thank you for joining us. Welcome and congratulations on this amazing offseason and this great team that you have put together. I asked and I opened the show with everybody asking them, what are you most excited about? There's so many things, but what's the number one thing that you're looking forward to this upcoming season?
Well, first I want to thank all the fans for coming out tonight, or today, I should say. These are the true fans that support us and are truly excited about the team and the players, and just really excited to have them at Rocket Mortgage FieldHouse today. So thank you very much, guys. But in terms of our off-season, obviously we added a tremendous amount of talent through the draft, through trade, and free agency as well. But in terms of the success of the offseason, I think it started in Vegas when we had Darius Garland, Colin Sexton, Jared Allen, Dean Wade, Dylan Windler, them all come out to Vegas on their own to support the Summer League team. And that was huge start of the momentum of the offseason for us. On top of what we did through the draft, obviously drafting Evan Mobley was huge. Trading for Lauri Markkanen, a big success for us for what he can do. Trading for a Ricky Rubio, international superstar that's going to help run the show for us. We did a lot of really good things. And then adding Jared Allen here, who wants to be in Cleveland, Ohio for 5 years and help this thing grow. So tremendous offseason in terms of the talent we added, but also I think the players wanting to be around as much as they were starting in Vegas.
And that is a very important thing, Koby, that, as we build a culture, a winning culture here in Cleveland. You mentioned our guys, our vets that were not playing in Vegas, coming over there to support their teammates, but also them coming together as a team and showing up in Cleveland early in September, getting ready for what training camp was 5 days ago. Is that one of the biggest pieces that you think is one of the most important things about wanting to be in Cleveland, wanting to be a part of this process and seeing it through?
First of all, Cleveland's a beautiful place to be in the summer and in September. I think a big shout out should go to Coach J.B. Bickerstaff and his staff for creating a culture and environment that guys want to come back to and be a part of. And so throughout the summer, guys were coming back to Cleveland to work out. And it was not like pulling teeth. It wasn't like we were asking. They wanted to come. And they wanted to work out and get better. And then in September, September 8th, which was right after Labor Day, we had 15 guys in the gym, which is the most I've ever seen since I've been here. They wanted to be back. They wanted to start the process. And so today, when you see the scrimmage, they've played together for about a few weeks together already. They have some synergy, they have some continuity, and they enjoy playing with each other.
Koby, for the fans here at Rocket Mortgage FieldHouse and also watching on the live stream right now, what are the expectations? What are the goals for this 21-22 campaign?
So I think we want to take a step forward, and I think we're in a position to, one, organically just be a better basketball team, but also I think when you look at our young guys and what they've already accomplished, they've played a tremendous amount of minutes already. They have played and they've accomplished a lot already. So we're putting a lot of onus on them. But then we have some some real veterans that I think will help us take that next step forward. Kevin Love's in great shape. He's ready to really help this franchise take a step forward. Ricky Rubio, his leadership's going to be immensely important for us. And we want to have an eye towards that postseason as we're, getting to the last third of the season, after All-Star break. And I think when you talk to our guys, that's certainly what they have their mind set on.
We mentioned fans here at Rocket Mortgage FieldHouse for the Wine and Gold Scrimmage as the season unfolds. How cool will it be to have this place packed and the Cavs have a home court advantage in the 21-22 season?
Well, these are the best fans in the world. Like I said, they're generational. Their parents, their grandparents, their great-grandparents have all been Northeast Ohio, Cleveland, and Cavs fans for a very, very long time. And they're all excited. You talk to people on the street, you talk to fans through social media channels, whatever it be. They're all excited about, obviously, the young nucleus that we have and the young core, but also the pieces that we put together that are going to be here for a long time. And so I think they know they can grow with us and be supportive of us, but we're really excited to bring that atmosphere back to Rocket Mortgage FieldHouse.
Koby, because you talk about some of your off-season acquisitions, Ricky Rubio, Lauri Markkanen, even Kevin Pangos. How do you see them helping the team this year? Well,
first, Ricky Rubio, we were really, really fortunate to acquire. He was coming off of an incredible international performance at the Olympics. Mm-hmm. And, as we were negotiating to get him, he kept having better and better games. And so I was lucky enough to get it done before his game against the U.S. when he had 38 points, and the price kept going up. But we are really looking forward to his leadership. First of all, he's an incredible human being. He's a great leader. And he's going to be a big part of this push. We're going to rely on him to help lead the way. And he's just an incredible basketball player. So Ricky's a big piece for us. We also went to the international ranks to bring in a Kevin Pangos, who's played overseas for quite a bit, but still relatively young. Mm-hmm. And he's one of those rookies that's going to be a vet. He's one of those rookies that are going to help us out because he's been at the highest levels of EuroLeague basketball and was a first-team All-EuroLeague player, and that's not easy to do. We've always loved him, watched him a lot at Gonzaga, bring that program to different heights, and now bringing a true point guard in here to help us lead the way from the bench is going to be phenomenal. And then Lauri Markkanen is just a tremendous fit. If you told me 2 years ago that we had a chance to acquire him, you'd be crazy. He's so talented. He's so skilled. At 7 feet, he complements what we want to do. And he's another guy that's super appreciative to be here. Mm-hmm. He's appreciative of the opportunity. He wants to be in a Cavaliers uniform, and he wants to help us achieve great things. So really, really fortunate to add him as well.
Well, I want to thank you for helping the Cavs Spanish broadcast have a guest now on the pregame show.
Anderson Varejao, right?
Yeah. But thank you for being the leader that you are here for this organization, Koby, and we can't wait to see the team that you have put together with the staff, with JB and everybody else, just hit on the court and finally have the fans here at Rocket Mortgage FieldHouse rooting us on.
Thank you. I'm really excited to watch this scrimmage today, and thanks again to the fans. The incredible support, and we're going to have a lot of fun this year.
Let's hear it for our general manager, Koby Altman. Thank you. And there it is. The question that we wanted to ask and what we wanted to hear, that we can't wait to see these guys already getting dressed and play for real.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, this is why we do what we do. We love the game. We love to watch these guys compete. You get to see basketball played at the highest level. I mean, these are the greatest players in the world. So it's what we love to do. It's why we're so passionate about it.
Sometimes what I like to do is look at the roster of the opening day roster from the previous season just to see how much you've changed, because you changed during that year and then you changed in the offseason. And when you look at this roster last year, the leaders were Andre Drummond, JaVale McGee, Larry Nance Jr. Again, this team now. Delly, right, exactly. The leaders now are the young guys. You talk to J.B. Bickerstaff, he says Darius Garland is now more vocal in practice. Isaac Okoro, more vocal. the younger guys now are going to be the leaders.
But
you're going to have leaders that are under 25 years old.
I see that as a great opportunity for these young guys. I see that as an opportunity for some of them finding that little something that they didn't know they had in them because they've always been led. And you got to remember, these guys come from being either the top scorer or the best player on whatever team they play when they were in college team. So I can't wait to see. I see Lamar Stevens having the wood to do that because he's a 4-year college player. He's shown it in the summer league. But again, he's not going to be on the court as much as Darius Garland or Colin Sexton, who have right there the opportunity to step it up a little bit.
I agree with that totally, Rafa. And I thought one of the strongest things that JB said on Media Day was when he was talking about the team had a dinner the night before, and Colin Sexton stood up and said, we all, every single one of us, need to be accountable. And that's the sign of a mature player, saying every single solitary one of us, whether we're out on the floor, whether we're watching video, whether we're sitting on the bench, we all need to be held accountable, not only to the coaching staff and, of course, the front office, but to ourselves as players. I mean, that shows development. That's a player now in his 4th year that, to your point, Joe, even though he's young, is saying, I need to step up and become a little bit more of a leader on this team.
Well, we mentioned it earlier, and we've talked about it a lot, in that these guys are so young when they come in the league. They've played 1 year of college. Darius Garland played 5 games. Okay. He's almost a high school kid when you think about it. The league is hard enough just to learn how to play, just to learn how to fit in, just to learn how to travel and be a pro and how to change your diet. Darius Garland had a little baby fat when he got here. These guys are growing up. They have to learn how to play the game first before they can lead other people. So Darius Garland now, I think he's figured out the game, and now he's thinking, what's my next step? And it's to be a leader.
We're getting closer to the beginning of the scrimmage, but because we see the 5-on-1 getting ready for the guys running the plays, especially on the offensive side. I got to ask you this, to both of you. You know, the depth in our roster brings something that, I don't know if, obviously I see it as an opportunity at something because there's competition for minutes, there's competition for a roster spot, and there's competition for the starting spot, right? So is that a positive thing to have, Tim, you think, in a team, especially when you're loaded with young guys?
Absolutely. To me, the old saying, steel sharpens steel. I mean, the tougher the competition, the better you become as a player, and also the more incentivized you become because you want to keep your job. You know, basketball players are all about minutes. I want minutes on the floor. Well, if somebody's pushing you, that pushes you even harder to keep your minutes on the floor. So I think it's a great thing. The deeper you are, the better. And not only from a competition standpoint, Ralph and Joe, but it gives JB flexibility. He can go big, he can go small, he can go, at some point I think we're going to see 3 7-footers out on the floor. And if he needs long distance shooters with the addition of Marketing and so forth, he can go with a lineup that perhaps is just going to play beyond the arc. So the deeper you are, the more competition and the more flexibility for your coach.
I think the best place where you're going to see that competition is on the wing, in that you have big guys and their roles are pretty much cut out. Your backcourt, Colin, Darius, those roles are pretty much cut out. On the wing, minutes are available. Is it going to be Jetty? Is it going to be Lamar Thomas? Is it going to be Denzel? Who's going to take those, after Okoro, who's going to be your second wing guy? And those 3 guys are going to fight for those minutes, and that's a good thing. One
thing is competition. Another thing is need. And one of the things that we cannot lie about, the need for perimeter scoring here for the Cleveland Cavaliers last year. There was no really real threat on the 3-point line. It wasn't really part of our offensive line. And you mentioned guys like Valentine, like Markkanen, who can actually put it up there, even Mobley. So those are the things that can win you minutes and win you a spot in the rotation.
Well, I keep hearkening back to Media Day, but I thought JB had some great things to say. And one of the things that he commented on was we need to get more modern. And the modern NBA is a 3-ball league.
It is.
I mean, you and I call the games 3-ball, 3-ball, 3-ball. Well, how do you say it, Rafa?
The tres, el triple.
But that's the modern NBA. And so that's where the Cavaliers, they did. As you said, you can't lie from the stats. They struggled last year. So they really need to improve on that because until there's some sort of rule alteration, which I don't see forthcoming, people are going to be dialing up long distance night after night.
Larry Markkinen, 40% three-point shooter last year, 37 in his career. He averaged 17. He's a guy that can score, and you mentioned it. Whenever we went to Chicago, he was like, my God, we got to deal with this kid again. So is that the Larry Markkinen you expect to see here?
Yeah, I'd love to see that Larry Markkinen. Again, Tim mentioned it earlier. On paper, and I know it was painful to see Larry go. Everyone thought that. But on paper, this is an excellent deal. I mean, he is exactly what you needed. Again, you needed to get taller. You needed three-point shooting. And JB has also made a point to say, hey, we're not going to be the team that just comes down and jacks up threes just because we need to shoot more threes. We need to
in the flow of the offense.
We're not the Rockets from 3 years ago.
Right. We need to do it in the flow of the game, but he does want to see these guys shoot more threes, and I think Lowry is just a tremendous asset when it comes to that.
When you talk about the offense, Tim, another thing that having Mobley here brings is not also it brings in another element of Jared Allen's domination in the paint, but it opens up also the lane for Colin Sexton. It opens up the perimeter if he brings it inside. So that's something that I'm excited about to see how JB finally puts together these pieces and when is it that he's going to find those combinations that are going to work for this guy.
Exactly, Rafa, and that's why he's starting today and the 5 preseason games, which of course they begin Tuesday in Chicago. You're going to see JB really doing some experimenting and different combinations and so forth. And on the Mobley point, it's not just the 7 foot and he's athletic. Mm-hmm. He can pass the basketball. He has terrific passing ability. Passer, and of course, when he was a young guy, he played a lot of soccer, so he's got great footwork.
Yeah.
So he's going to be able to do a lot of things out on that wing. So I'm just, as I mentioned earlier, I'm really looking forward to watching that young man play.
Speaking of looking forward, we are now joined by the head coach of your Cleveland Charge, Mr. Dan Geriot. First of all, congratulations on your new gig. How excited are you to be leading our G League franchise and also the new wrinkle that we have this year that we're going to have you blocks away here from Rocket Mortgage FieldHouse?
Yeah, no doubt. Thank you very much. Very, very appreciative. We're all excited, I think, coming up to the city of Cleveland and making this synergy basically a couple blocks away, I think makes a lot of sense for a lot of the reasons we've been building this. And I think we're all very excited to see it come together and see it come to fruition, and we can't wait to get started.
There is a huge amount of players in the NBA that come out of your league. I mean, it's phenomenal, the percentage. Yeah. Just talk about what that league does to prepare guys for NBA basketball.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a perfect developmental league for what we're after. You know, I think a lot of guys learn the NBA there. You know, even coaches as well. I think you look at the coaching development all through the NBA on the coaching staffs as well. I think the players get a sense of what the NBA feels like, the travel, the grind, how hard you have to compete night in, night out, and then they get a chance to hone their skills. You know, I think when you put them in the right situations over and over again, you see the success stories, and that's our plan. We're going to develop and create these plans to where we have these success stories that scale up.
Dan, Rafa alluded to the fact you're going to be right down the street here playing at the Wolstein as far as Charge basketball. But for someone who spent a couple of years with the Cavs on their coaching staff, talk about the benefits of that literally these two teams are going to be a couple of blocks apart. Yeah,
I mean, I think it's just the comfortability in the relationship, right? I think we have that synergy of the terminology, the language defensively, the system offensively. We're going to have all that together, and I think that's a huge piece of even the day-to-day conversations. We're right here. You know, we're going to be practicing at Cleveland Clinic Courts. We're going to be in Independence. We're going to be playing downtown. A lot of our players here live downtown. They'll probably be over on off nights and things like that. I think those relationships are something that are just something that we're creating, and we're going to be so excited about as the season goes on.
Dan, they always talk about the big difference when you move those 18 inches over into the head coaching spot. You're kind of, I mean, you're the fun guy in the gym, and you're going to have to all of a sudden change and be the boss now.
I'm still bringing the juice. I'll still bring it. Don't worry about that. But no, I think it'll be cool. It's been great already, the experience of just evaluating the processes for our decision making, right? Coming from Canton to Cleveland, there's been things that come across the desk that, I mean, obviously as an assistant coach and being the fun guy in the gym, I'm like, oh man, I gotta go through these processes now and think about these decisions, because they're going to have a domino effect of where we're headed at Cleveland State. Simple things, locker room access, game day, what it feels like, all that kind of stuff. So that's been unbelievable experience already, and we'll still be playing the music loud and having our smiles and our laughs. Don't you worry about that, Joe G. I ain't changing that way.
I don't want to say you now from the outside, because you're just on the other sideline, right?
Yeah.
But you have been with this team since, 2016 when we went to the championship?
Yeah,
we won the championship, right?
First year.
What can you tell our fans, not only here at Rocket Mortgage FieldHouse, but watching us on the live stream? What can you tell our fans of what to expect in terms of at least the effort, or what to expect from this team that Koby and JB have put together?
Yeah, I think it's the idea of like the competitiveness and the unselfishness. I think it's about the people we bring in all throughout, Cavaliers all the way down to Charge. You know what I mean? I think as you create those pieces and you have these foundations of like human beings, now all of a sudden it's no surprise that these guys become closer, they become friends. I think you guys heard all during training camp. This is one of the closest groups we've had in years. There's so much that we've experienced together, and I think that's going to help as we have the team at Cleveland State and we have the Charge here. Is like we're going to experience it all together, and that's stuff that as we build this thing and as we have been building it for these years, these people, you know what I mean? That's the idea. These are all the great human beings. We're in this human being business. So the competitiveness and the unselfishness, that's what you're going to see on display all the time, just like you do here.
Dan, JB mentioned the fact that this is a great move for you just on a personal level to kind of build, that coaching experience, to kind of have your team. How exciting is that for you to make that play call, to call out that defense?
Yeah, I mean, it was exciting as when he kind of talked about it. I said yes, and he was like, hold on. But I think, no, him and I talked deeply about it, and we've had, he's such a great guy and great mentor for me. And as we talked through it, it was a pretty simple answer and very easy to get excited about. You get to have those not only successes but failures, and I can't wait. I can't wait to fail at some levels and then understand how to get better that way. And then that's kind of my message to a lot of these guys. Listen, it's not going to be easy. You know what I mean? The G League's not easy. If it was, everyone would do it. But the idea is we're going to have some failures. It's time to grow from there. It's time to develop. That's how you get better. That's how you see the big picture, and that's how it scales up.
Cleveland Charge head coach Dan Geriot. Before I let you go, don't worry, I'm not going to ask you about the Eagles this season.
I was going to say, let's not go there, Ralph. Let's not go there. We got the Chiefs. We got to give Andy a win.
I have asked here to do it at Rocket Mortgage FieldHouse, but nobody has even replied to my request. And now that you have some pool at the Woolstein Center, when the Toronto G League team comes, can I sing "Oh Canada" before the game?
I got to ask my superior.
Oh, come on. Listen, best of luck, and we'll be seeing you at the Woolstein Center for all the action for the Cleveland Charge. Dan Geriot, everybody.
Thank you.
Big Dan.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Do you think nobody answers my question?
I've heard you sing it, and you're good.
Yeah?
I think people think you're screwing around, but honestly, he's good. He's singing.
Wow.
Hey,
he knows all the words and everything.
You want to warm up? We got a game on Tuesday. You want to warm up with the scrimmage? But we're already seeing what is coming down the road, I guess, right? Sexton and Love, Garland playing defense, fast break, which is something that we haven't talked about. But these guys are planning to play the game downhill most of the time.
I think we are going to see a ton of alley-oops this year. I really do, because Colin and Darius can both really break down the defense and get into the second level. They're excellent at that. And again, you have two big guys really who can.
How much are you hoping Taco Fall makes the team?
I can't believe we lasted this long in the town without you mentioning him.
By the way, fans, if you don't follow Rafa on Twitter or Facebook, there's an awesome picture from Cleveland Clinic Courts of Rafa standing next to Taco, and Rafa doing kind of that lead into Taco.
It's the remake of Twins,
yes.
The movie Twins.
Yes.
And I think, I got to tell you, one of the nicest guys that you'll ever meet. And I feel bad for him because everybody that meets him, obviously the question is, how tall are you? Oh, my God, you're so tall. but he handles it very well. And when we're talking about the pieces that this team needs and what we have lost in terms of leadership, in terms of that joyful guy is always important. Remember our championship year, it was Channing Frye and Timo, who brought the humor and kept everybody loose during practice.
That's an excellent point, in that sometimes you watch the team, and last year, a couple losing streaks, and you wondered, are they having fun?
Mm-hmm.
It is important, even though they're professionals and they make a ton of money, it's important to have fun. And if there's no joy in the game, it shows on the court. And I think having, especially young leaders, I think there's going to be some joy back in the building, especially with fans here. So, I think it's important to have guys like Taco, just good guys on your team.
And that gets back a little bit to JB, and we talked earlier about he's a player's coach, and he understands this is a grind.
Yeah.
You guys see what time we get into Atlanta on Wednesday? 2:15 in the morning. It's a grind, and you have to work through it. But you have to have fun. I mean, it has to be enjoyable. These guys have been playing basketball basically all of their lives. Mm-hmm. So it all started for them just having fun. Mm-hmm. Basketball's a fun game. And yes, they're highly paid professionals now, but you still have to have fun. And to your point, Joe, if they're not having fun, that reflects on the floor.
Yeah,
you can see it in body language.
It shows.
And I think JB allows them to have fun, and he wants them to be a group of guys that all get along and that the chemistry is there.
Yeah, they were talking at Media Day how they kind of teased JB about stuff, and and they follow Darius's lead, things like that.
Yep.
And I think, we talked about JB being the perfect guy for this job. This is not an easy job with this team, in that he's in the middle of wanting to develop young guys, let them take their lumps, get better, play a ton of minutes, and also have to win and teach them how to win. And this is a fine line for a young team and a young coach. So I think he's just done an excellent job keeping the guys' heads above water during losing streaks and just, I think, keeping the ship straight,
My broadcast partner on the radio side, Jim Jones, made a comment about JB one time, and boy, it struck me. It really hit home. He said the great thing about JB is that he's demanding, but he's never demeaning.
That's great.
And Jim said that on the air one night, and I thought, boy, that's perfect, because that truly does describe JB. I mean, he demands. These are young guys that have to get better, that have to grow. I mean, we've seen him in some practice sessions, but he never demeans the guys.
Right.
And then he'll pull them aside, put his arm around them, and say, here's what we're doing. Here's why I'm instructing you this.
And it's a great definition of the player's coach, but still the boss.
Oh, absolutely.
He saves all his anger for the referees.
Let me ask you a question now that you brought up your partner, the legend, Jim Jones. Do you play a musical instrument?
No.
No?
No, I sing in the shower, and that's about
okay,
it.
I'm trying to get the group together for when Dan Geriot gets us to sing. I want it to be, I'll sing "O Canada," and then Joji, John Michael on the piano, and Jim on the bass for Star Spangled Banner. I don't know if you wanna join the group,
If Cavs marketing is watching this, just give Rafa the national anthem and just shut him up. he won't stop.
But listen, before we get our next guest, I want to make sure you guys tuning in for the live stream of the Wine Gold Scrimmage powered by FirstEnergy. Don't forget about Cavs HQ on the Cavaliers Radio Network with Tim Alcorn and Jim Jones. The Wine and Gold Radio podcast with the Wolf, Joe G, and yours truly. And now we're going to be debuting on October 13th,
my birthday,
it is, on Bally Sports Network, the Wine and Gold Show with John Michael and yours truly. So we're going to be there trying to keep you up to date and informed about what's going on during this upcoming season. And you and Jim have been doing a great job on Cavs HQ, and I'm sure you've been enjoying the powerful guests he's been bringing you.
I'm telling you, his black book, as far as who he knows in the NBA, is absolutely incredible. And the guests that Jim has been able to secure for Cavs HQ has just been phenomenal. So I just marvel. He goes, this week we're getting Jerry Lucas. This week we're getting, whoever it may be, Norm Nixon, Bob McAdoo. It's like, wow. He goes, I'll just call him up. Jeez, oh, Pete.
And when Jones makes the call, you take the call.
I know I do.
Yeah.
And we welcome our next guest over here in a live stream of the Wine Gold Scrimmage powered by FirstEnergy. If you want to really think about how different last season was, Greg Buckner, our assistant coach, is my first time meeting him. Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
We didn't get to see you in person, only on Zoom last season. How was it for you, and how excited are you about this coming season?
Well, last year was definitely different with the COVID restrictions and things like that. But it was good. We got to learn the guys a little bit. This year, really excited. I think everybody's talking about how much new talent we have, offensively and defensively. So it should be a really good year.
Greg, are you and JB and the staff, are you like mad scientists in the chemistry lab where you're looking at all the different combinations and the different formulas that can come together during the course of the season? If we play this guy here, if we use this guy here, how exciting is that?
It's very exciting, but myself and JB both skipped chemistry. We was in gym class. So we was putting those combinations together in gym, but we're very excited. I mean, you got so many different pieces. You got tall guys that are very talented that can play on the perimeter and play on the inside. You got small guys that can really score. Got those in-between guys that like Swiss Army knives. So we're very excited the way Koby put this team together, and so we can do different things on both the offensive side of the basketball and the defensive side of the basketball.
Greg, I know last year you worked pretty closely with Isaac Okoro.
Yeah.
What are you seeing differently? Just the eye test, but what are you seeing differently in him this year from last year?
Confidence.
Yeah.
He has a lot more confidence. I think the summer league really helped him out, where he had to play with the ball. Actually, at the end of the season too, he got to play with the ball in his hands and show that he can do those things that he's done in the past in high school and college. He can do the same things up here, and he got to do it in summer league. And I think the confidence right now, he talks a lot more. He didn't talk much early on in the season. Now he never shuts up. So I think confidence. And when you talk a lot, you have a lot of confidence.
Yeah.
We talked about all the different things, opportunities that these players have, the guys that have stepped up, and also how you as an assistant coach work with different guys. From my broadcast spot over there, I kind of noticed last season that you were working very closely with Lamar Stevens, who is a guy who we think could be a leader in this team, who really took advantage of his opportunity last season. Talk to us a little bit about Lamar and what you expect from him this coming season.
Yeah, I mean, in college, he did a little bit of everything on both sides of the basketball. So when you get to the NBA, you're looking for guys that can do things like that. And he, like you said, he took advantage of his opportunities. He's a tough guy. He's not going to back down from anybody. He's on the offense or the defensive side of the basketball. He thinks he can score on anybody, and he thinks he can stop anybody. So when you got a guy who has that confidence in his game like that, you got to find a way to get him on the court, and that's what he did last year. And this year we asked him to do a little bit more because as you know, you advance in your career in the NBA, you have to do more if you want to be a part of a team that's winning. And we think he brings a style of basketball play that helps us win, and we want to get to the playoffs, and he has to be a part of that.
Greg, before we let you go real quick, I'm sure JB has a system. But that being said, when you bring in new talent, you have to tweak some things. How will this team be different this year than perhaps last year?
Yeah, as a coach, you better be a guy that can adjust on the fly, you know, especially in the NBA. So your system definitely is your foundation, but you have to be able to adjust. You have to adjust from week to week and sometimes half to half. And Coach has done that throughout his career multiple times. But this year, I think we're going to play a little faster. That's what we talked about going into training camp, playing faster. Obviously, we got to get up more threes. Last year was at the bottom of the NBA, getting up threes, and more importantly, you got to make threes. I mean, you can't just be out there jacking and not making shots. So you got to make shots, and then we got to, be a better defensive rebounding team than we were last year, and we got to keep guys out of paint like we did a little bit last year, and force team to shoot contested jump shots on the defensive end. If we do those things, we think we got an excellent chance to be really good and a team that's going to be in the playoffs.
Coach Buckner, thank you for joining us. A pleasure to meet you.
Yeah,
finally.
you too. Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks
How's your
for
Spanish,
having me,
by the way?
Not good at all.
Oh, okay. I'm always looking for guests.
I took French.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, didn't take chemistry, didn't take Spanish.
Oh, my God. You really spent a lot of time at the
French,
gym.
baby. Yeah. And finance.
Best of luck this season. And
Yes,
I'm happy to say we'll be seeing you on the road.
Yes, sir.
So
Thank y'all.
we can't wait to see what you guys get ready for us. There you go. Coach Buckner, can you believe that it's the first time that I actually finally get to shake his hand?
Well, there was a couple of assistant coaches that when I walked in I hadn't seen since that final night in Chicago. So, boy, it was good. Antonio Lang is one of the coaches we haven't mentioned yet. I saw Antonio. I mean, great big fist bump. You got to be, protocol aware, but it's great to see these guys again. It really is.
Another thing that we haven't mentioned, and we talked about a little bit the guys that bring the joy to the thing, but the mood during practices has been really good. I mean, really, no, I don't want to say that they're having fun because they're working hard, but they're really enjoying themselves during practice.
Yeah, they like each other. It's a team that, you can tell they like each other. And again, I think that goes with being a young team and that they don't have competing agendas right now. Right now, the only goal is to win. They've had individual success. Now it's time to get in the victory column.
And by the way, I really love the new practice shorts, the one that the white guys are wearing. Is it white or blue or gold? Well, Kevin got different shorts. I think Kevin is wearing different
a
shorts.
Color.
They're like blue with.
This is why I do radio, folks. Yeah. One time at the beginning, Cavs in the wine, and that's all I got to say about the colors. So,
hey, Tim, take a crack at it. Lamar Stevens putting the ball in bounds.
This is why it's tough to call game off monitors like we did last year.
I got to say something about that because you guys were all acting like you have been thrown into hell. I broadcast my whole life off of the screen for the most part.
Well, first of all, I got to say, an incredible job by the Cavaliers engineering and production crew.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
We had multiple monitors, and the sound was being fed to us. And to your point, Rafa, a couple of games in, we got used to it and did the best we could, but there's nothing like being at the arena.
Yeah.
And as of right now, we're going out on the road, as I mentioned, and you said we're going to be in Chicago on Tuesday and then arrive in Atlanta at 2:30 in the morning for a back-to-back with Atlanta.
And then the next day we arrive in Cleveland at 2:30 in the morning.
Right. Nothing like that glamour life on the road in the NBA.
Then you still got to unpack the truck when you get there.
Yeah. And of course, it's very glamorous to travel with the Cavaliers, especially. And for some reason, every time we land back in Cleveland, it's snowing.
Right. It could be like it could be
if
June.
It's snowing next Thursday, I'm blaming you. I'll tell you right now.
Another thing I wanted to mention to all of you, Cavs.com/monthly. I was reading this today because I was translating my live reads, and they have the Cavs monthly pass, which for $49 you can get a seat in Loudville, and for $89 in the lower level for all games in October and November. That includes Brooklyn twice for the Celtics, the Warriors, and a couple of other teams for $89.
That's fantastic.
11 or 12 games.
I'm going to quit my job and buy that.
There is nothing like a jam-packed Rocket Mortgage FieldHouse when this place is just exploding with enthusiasm and excitement. It's just electric here. It really is.
Rafa, you talk about the beginning of the year, and this year, since I've been here, I can't remember and they used to do this in the past, I can't remember the Cavs ever going west for an extended trip like this.
I remember
that early
I remember
in the
very
season.
well. The first year I was here, we played against the Knicks on the Bronx first game, and then we flew out west, and we flew back. Last game was against Phoenix, and we flew back after the game. We landed here at 6 in the morning, and it was 24 below zero, and I really was questioning, what was I doing here?
at the very beginning of the schedule.
very first road trip. Chicago was the first game we played on the road. I remember very well as well because I learned that you don't have breakfast at the team hotel because it's like $70 for an omelet. So you have to walk out and find a diner outside.
Without getting off track, that is I call that the breakfast of the gods. It is. It really is. But even if we did go west in that year, and I believe you, that was an experienced team. They'd been west a million times. Right now, these young guys, JB's going to want to get off to a really good start, and it ain't going to be easy because that first West Coast trip is very difficult. Very difficult.
As we're watching things here on the monitor, the Cavs are draining some three balls. That's good to see. I think Darius hit one from where the Chargers are going to play their games.
Yeah.
I mean, that was way down the street, and then Markkanen comes back and buries one as well. So, again, it's a scrimmage. We understand that. But as Coach Buckner mentioned, and as we've talked about, well, we've got to see more three balls go in this year. It's the NBA game right now. So,
and this is the part where we were talking, the guys looking for a job, looking for minutes. You know, we have on the court playing on the same Broderick Thomas, who was part of our team, Denzel Washington. I wasn't Denzel Valentine. Denzel Washington or Denzel, what's his name? Valentine. No, but I keep thinking of
Denzel Ward?
No, the movie.
Well, that
with Valentine, Trading Places.
Okay.
We gotta be calling him all kinds of names. I call him Denzel Washington because that's what Taco Fall calls him. I mean, that's how cool Taco is. He's been with him for 5 days. So you're already calling him Denzel Washington.
There's Taco at the line right now.
Taco at the free throw line.
7'5". Of course, last couple of years in the Celtic organization, had a lot of time with the Celtics G League team up in Maine. I think it's the Maine Red Claws, if I'm not mistaken. I'm sure I'll get a text from Scott Zarilla on that.
But if you look at the guys playing in Wine right now, is Valentine, Fiondu, Broderick Thomas, Dean Wade, and Windler. Those are 5 guys that at one point or another in this upcoming season will have to play key roles, either because they win the opportunity or because they're going to get it anyway due to injury. So these are the guys that I think, like Dean Wade. For those of you watching, and you have to understand the difficulty of playing a week and then sitting down for a month and then going back to starting. I mean, that has to. It is a skill that not everybody possesses, Joe.
Yes, you have to stay ready. You've heard it from every player you talk to. Stay ready. When your number's called, you better be ready. Otherwise, it won't get called again. So when Dean Wade got his opportunity last year, Broderick Thomas, who we're looking at right now, same thing. When those guys got their numbers called, they were ready to go last year.
Hustle plays from Broderick Thomas is what I remember. The effort
and the athleticism, I mean, he's very athletic, just like Dean Wade, too, like sneaky athletic.
Well, the one thing about Wade that surprised me, and we talked about the Cavs' struggles from beyond the arc, but Wade could step out and knock down some three balls.
Oh, yeah.
And he really worked on his game. We talked earlier with Dan Geriot about the fact that so many of the G League guys end up playing at the NBA. How about Taco with some ball handling ability right here, backing down the defender.
Foul.
But Dean Wade was a guy, when the Charge, of course, were in Canton, that really worked at his game, and he got better. And so that the league really helped a guy like Dean Wade. And then, of course, as Joe just said, his number was called here in Cleveland. And for the most part, he was ready to go and provided some quality minutes.
I mean, hey, the NBA season is that's a grind, 82-game grind, 7 months. Guys go down, so especially with a young team like this, you got to be ready to step up.
And if you don't believe me, look at last season when we played a whole stretch with no power forwards.
Yeah.
And a whole stretch with no point guard.
And what do we have, 27 different lineups last year? I forget the number, but I think it was close to 27.
I remember one game where there was Drummond, Hartenstein, and Allen on the court at the same time. And they were fighting who was going to play the 3 spot. Because
nobody.
Well, the Cavs were just ravaged by injuries last year. I think it was 300 total games that were missed due to injuries. And so you hope, number one, that's not the case this year. But number two, the guys who received minutes last year, because of the fact that this team was just hurt by that injury bug, or bitten by the injury bug may be a better way to phrase that, but that now allows them to become key contributors this year, that the minutes they got last year translate into success on the floor this season.
Time for awards. Is the Cavs 6-man for Ricky Rubio to lose this coming season? Do you think he'll be the key?
That's a tough one because Lowry he could really he could really fill it up. I mean, he's poised for a breakout season.
And they're both going to see minutes.
A lot of minutes, a ton of minutes. So I'm going to say Lowry's going to be your 6th man this year.
How about you, Tim?
Well, if you're talking about 6th man, that means you're assuming a starting lineup. And I'm not close to doing that yet. So I'm going to take the political route here and dodge the question.
On.
Do you know who the starting five will be?
No, but
right.
I know Ricky's not starting.
Right. Yeah.
Well, okay. All right. Well, you kind of snaked your way around that then. I will say this, and we talked about this earlier. This is a deeper Cavs team than we've had the past couple of years. There's going to be some quality guys coming off that bench. Who will be 6 through 8 or 6 through 9? I don't know what order yet JB is going to utilize those guys and that personnel, but this is a deeper team.
It's a deeper team in that, we haven't mentioned Kevin yet. We really haven't mentioned how he's going to fit in, how many minutes he's going to get. Is he going to be okay with that amount of minutes? So I think that's in terms of sixth man, seventh man,
I believe,
the bench, how's it going to work? Can they make it work?
From what I know about Kevin in these years that he's been here, and I know the kind of human he is, I think he'll be good at whatever role JB gives him. I'm more interested in to see how important he's going to be off the court with the young guys, because he has so much to share and so much to teach. I mean, this is a guy that came here and really kept his mouth shut when everybody was going at him during the first couple of years.
Yeah.
And he was instrumental in a championship, and I think he's going to take advantage of that. Talking about possibilities, talking about opportunities and situations, I mean, he finds himself in a situation where he can really leave a mark on this team and on this city.
And we talked earlier about learning how to win, and that it's not something that just comes to you by being a good ball player. You have to do it, and then you have to learn how to do it. He's one of the very few guys. I mean, when you look out here, how many of these guys, these young guys, have won at any kind of level in the NBA? You can look at the team, not many. If really, he's one of the only guys who's tasted true success. He's got to impart some of that wisdom on these young guys.
Absolutely. I totally agree with what Joe said. When you have a young team, you have to have somebody that can show those kids what it takes to win. And to your point, Rafa, both on and off the floor. And so for that, Kevin Love is still a very integral and important part of this basketball team. You know, I give Kevin a lot of credit. Earlier in the offseason, he mentioned, listen, I'm not the player I was when I was in Minnesota or here in Cleveland a few years ago when we won the championship game. And so he recognizes that. And for a veteran player, that's quite a statement to make. What his role will be, I think he and JB are going to sit down and kind of work through that insofar as, will it be a starting role? Will it be coming off the bench? I think they're going to look at his minutes because of the injury history and say, you know, let's try to curtail that somewhat just to keep you healthy and on the floor when we need you on the floor during the course of the season, because there's no doubt it's a different Cavs team when he's playing than when he's not. No doubt.
Time to close shop here in a Wine and Gold Scrimmage powered by FirstEnergy. But I would be remiss to say that I forgot to mention the most important part is the chase down pod that we also will have throughout the year, and that is with Carter Rodriguez and Justin Rowan, also known as 90 Cent because of the
Canadian exchange.
Exchange. So please tune in to Chase Down Pod as we go. Final thought, Tim, what we got coming here for this season?
I'm ready. I'm excited. I think this is going to be a fun campaign with the young kids and the young veterans. I think this is a Cavs team that's a lot better than they were when we closed out the 21 season in Washington, or Brooklyn, and I'm excited about the upcoming season.
Same. I'm ready to get to next Tuesday, and let's see what happens, man. Let's get this thing underway.
Everybody, please, thank you for joining us, and stay informed on Cavs.com. You can get the tickets information. You can get everything you need to come join us at the FieldHouse for the preseason game against Indiana. When we start, and then the season opener against Charlotte. In my friend Joe G, Tim Alcorn, I'm Rafael Hernandez Brito. Gracias. Vamos, Cavs. Go Cavs.
Go Cavs.
See you at the FieldHouse.